time was a good session. I enjoyed giving the session, and I think you had the same feeling. And I met a lot of you in Einstein and somewhere at the university, wherever, and we talked about the session, and you gave me a lot of encouragement in terms of my English, in terms of my presentation skills. And let me tell you my secret. Interact with you. I made the best week in my life in the United States. So it's because of you. And this is so sincere and so serious. Since I came and touched the land of the United States, I was a little bit not having a lot of friends and stuff, but now, oh, I'm popular. I see a lot of friends here and there, and people talk to me. I learned a lot about you, and my life started to taste bitter. I no longer feel homesick, and I think I can handle like a couple of more months in the United States before going back home. And because of that, and because of the wonderful attitude between us, I have another secret to confess. Before I started preparing for these three sessions, I had a lot of consultations because there were two ways to go. For me, I have two choices: whether to say all the truth and be truthful, but sometimes, truth sometimes hurts. Because my society and my background has a lot of faults and problems and troubles that I sometimes feel very shy to talk to foreigners about. But the other side, or the other way, which is, well, to talk about pharaohs and Egyptians and beautiful things in Egypt, so that my country has a lot of tourism maybe. But with some consultations from my country and from people here in the United States, and with a call to my mom, she said, Hossam, do what you really want to do. Do your responsibility as you see it. You have conscience, conscious, feel it and do it as frank as possible. So I will definitely share all the secrets of myself and my country with my new family. So today's session is about the rights of women and polygamy. I hope I'm spelling this right. I'm pronouncing it right. Polygamy and polygamy in Islam is such a pure Islamic point that a man can have more than one wife, in fact up to 4 wives. And nowadays in some places in Arabia, they misinterpret all the regulations and they get married once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times for pleasure. And going back to the rules of Islam that organize this system of polygamy, you would be surprised to see a lot of restrictions and a lot of rules in order to govern this system. The first rule that I wrote in Arabic here, it says وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا فَوَاحِدَةً. And this is the Holy Quran talking to people who want to get married twice, or 3 times, or 4 times, having up to 4 wives. Of course, maybe gentlemen here would agree, oh, wow, it's great having 4 wives. Wow, awesome. However, here it says, if you are not fair and just, then 1 wife will be your choice. It's very difficult to be fair, like 100% fair in terms of love, in terms of finance and funds, in terms of treatment and other stuff. So it's very difficult to have up to two wives or 3 wives or 4 wives. So we still have the same question. Why does Islam want us to have up to 4 wives, and what are these regulations? Regulation number 1, if the wife is barren, am I saying it right? She can't have a baby and the man wants to have a son or a daughter, then there is a chance for him to get married one more time. In the matters of sickness, and the wife can't, give enough love and security and, the normal relationship between a man and a woman, so this would be the second chance for polygamy. he has to stick to one wife, which is his wife, and that's it. So this request is so difficult to be made by a woman, by a wife, but it rarely happens in my country. I'll go back to geography a little bit and tell you where the places of polygamy would be really concentrated. Saudi Arabia has a lot of men marrying 2 or 3 or 4 wives. Saudi Arabia, unfortunately, some people there are getting married for fun and for pleasure, and I don't think we would all be advised or be put in the same pot, in the same place. Because in Egypt we have economical problems. It's very difficult to get married even once in your life, and we understand the rules of Islam, so you rarely see a man with 2 wives or 3 wives. So this is the place where a lot of men get married twice or 3 times. Right, I'm moving a little bit forward to the age of marriage. Age of marriage in Egypt is usually starting with 18 years old for girls, and up to, for instance, 26. However, after 26, and I'm talking about girls, women, after 26, it will be very hard for a girl to get married and to feel that feeling of, well, I didn't get married so far, and the family starts to get worried a little bit about their daughter not being married till now, to the age of 26. And therefore, in some cases, girls who are 30 and never got married, they would say, okay, I can get married to a man with 2 wives or 1 wife. Half a man or a third a man is better than nothing. And she gets married because of one thing, social norms and social restrictions. The society underestimates women who don't get married till the age of 30 or 35 and so on. So that's the normal age of marriage. However, under the economic crisis, not the present one, I mean, the one that we have in Egypt for 30 years under the current regime, it's very difficult to get married in that age. Youth have a lot of problems, a lot of unemployment, problems in Egypt, so it's difficult to get married in that age. And illegal relationships, prostitution, and others are not allowed at all in Egypt. In fact, laws and legislations in Egypt prohibit it, and some would go to prison if found. This is President Zuma of South Africa. He got married for the 3rd time, and the headlines of the newspapers: Zuma got married again, and a question mark afterwards. But polygamy is not only in the Arabian countries, but also allowed in some other parts of the world. South Africa is. We have covered last time age, respect, and family, cleaning, kissing the hand of dad and mom, youth independence, and it rarely happens. But the very interesting topic is work and culture of shame. The culture in Arabia sometimes underestimates, again, it looks with disrespect to those people who work in very modest jobs. But first of all, let me ask you a question. How many of you work now, nowadays, on that age? Yeah, of course you are. Okay, excellent. How many of those who raised their hands work as managers? Excellent. 4 or 5. In my country and in Arabia, they underestimate the other jobs. Rather than being a manager, well, you will be looked after as, well,